Imtiaz, among other things, you are the undisputed king of re-releases.
Oh God.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
That's
okay.
cool.
How does that feel?
It's awesome. It feels so thrilling. Now the only thing I aspire for is just to be the king of releases. मैंने समझा था कि तू है तो दरख्शां है हयात, तेरा गम है तो गमे दहर का झगड़ा क्या है. I don't want to be caught in thinking how the world should remember or will remember me. I hope they just forget me and remember many movies that I have made. I was shooting in Calcutta and then Dinu comes and says, "Sir, there is a non-bailable arrest warrant. If they come to know where you are, they'll come and arrest you." I said, "Kali paper में आया, we are shooting over here in Calcutta, यार." And वो लोकेशन भी उन्होंने बता दिया, तो वो तो आने वाले हैं. And Dinu was like, मेरा तो बहुत लॉस हो जाएगा, तू अरेस्ट हो गया तो.
Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to THR Talks. I love that we have a full house and we have lots of people downstairs as well. All because our guest this evening is one of Hindi cinema's most intriguing and I would say most influential directors because his films have literally changed lives. Please welcome Imtiaz Ali.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you.
Imtiaz, please have a seat.
How remarkable was your opening statement? You used two words to describe me. And how smart you are, you used two words starting with the letter I, which is Imtiaz. So
This is what I do.
this is the brilliance of Anupama.
That's right. Imtiaz, I don't know if you remember this, but the last time we talked was also with an audience.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And at one point, people were asking you questions and they were, of course, saying Imtiaz Ji.
Yeah.
And then he said, ki, please don't add the G. Filmmakers ko itna respect nahi dena chahiye. Did you mean it?
Of course. I think respect is something that takes you away from a person, I feel. And like the people that we love the most, like Amitabh Bachchan, we don't say, well, in Jamshedpur, I didn't say Amitabh Bachchan Ji, Dilip Kumar Ji, you know.
They were yours.
Yeah, Shah Rukh Khan hai, Amitabh Bachchan hai. So therefore, you shouldn't say Ji to people that you truly love and only love and not fear.
So no G's, guys, when we ask questions.
Yeah.
You also, Imtiaz, described yourself as cinema illiterate. What did you mean?
What I meant is that I think coming from a space of being intrigued with life, with people, trying to think of what might have happened after I stopped seeing them that day, etc. I'm coming more from imagination of people and love for situations than cinema. So I love watching cinema, but it's not cinema doesn't influence me to make another one. And it's not as though I have the complete knowledge of all film directors in the world. I see some of my friends that are coming from the superior space of cinema. And they are more educated, they know about all the genres. And here I am, I don't even know the pronunciation of that word. And so when I think about cinema, I think of a story that I want to make. You know, my discussions on cinema are more about stories that I have seen, films that I have seen, the few of them that I love, or the ones that I want to make. So, so I'm not coming from being literate of cinema. I'm somebody who's just fascinated by cinema.
So is that why you've also said that you come to cinema more, not as an intellectual exercise, but as an emotional exercise?
Yep. You know, I don't know whether I ever told you. It's so much fun chatting with you because it's almost like, have I told her that? And this is just like personal me and you. Everything is incidental over here. But there was a time I'd gone to Paris, and I was really wondering about what to do next, what kind of film to make. And so I was being modest, talking to the driver who was driving me to the airport. And he was the same that had fetched me from the airport earlier. And he said, "So what do you do?" So I said, "I make films." So he said, "Oh, you're the director. That's the most important person on set, and is the captain of the ship, and all of that." I said, "They say that, but actually, the director is the only chap that can not be on the set, and the shot will still be taken, and the film will still get made, because the cinematographer will shoot, the actor will act, the writer has written, editor will cut. It'll all happen." So then he said, "No, no, no, no. I don't watch too many films, but I know your job is the most important." I said, "Why is it the most important?" So then suddenly I had this feeling that God just turned and spoke to me. He turned and spoke to me, and he said, "No, you bring emotion to the scenes.
Wow.
You bring emotion to people." And I realized, oh, that's my job.
How lovely.
Yeah, so I think my job is, so I don't see myself or this work that we all do as an intellectual job. It is more the job of emotion. By emotion, I don't mean only the heavy stuff, I mean joyous stuff and feelings, rather than intellect.
It shows, because there's a video on YouTube, one of the making of Chamkila videos, right? And at one point, I think it was one of the songs, and you're actually dancing.
Oh.
You put your hand up like this and you're dancing, and there's such joy in it. But talk a little, Imtiaz, about how do you then look at staging, or what lens to use? Like, how much is that a part of what you do?
No, it's a complete. So everything is connected, and everything is for a certain result. So about lenses, for instance, okay, you see something in your head first, and then you want to recreate it when you go on set, and then you speak to the cinematographer and you say, "Oh, this is where we are," and then I am seeing this kind of a visual. So he says, "Okay." I said, "No, I'm just somehow not seeing the whole body. I'm just seeing her face very close." So then he says, "Okay." So then I'd say, "Shall we put 100 lens so that we see the face like this?" And then, but somehow it is more joyous if we also see her hands while she's dancing. So put the 75. No. Put the 50, get it closer. So yeah, this is what I had imagined, or this is how this shot can be more joyous. It is an emotional decision. It is not a decision of intellect. Because nobody knows which lens will make a shot better or worse. But when you see something, when you imagine something, you know that the emotion is flowing through it better. So you take that decision. And it all sounds very complicated, technical, the kind of lights we speak about, various numbers that exist of aperture, of lenses, but it's all actually very simple. And for a director, it's the most simple, because there's always somebody on set who knows it better than you. The cinematographer knows it better than you. You can say 75, 150, 125, or you can just say closer, wider. Or you can say that when I go close to her, I'm losing the background person's facial expressions. How can I avoid? So he'll say, "Oh, put a 50, go closer." Something like that. So
There'll be
the
a
depth
solution.
of focus,
Yeah.
So there's always somebody else who's more knowledgeable or more intellect driven than you.
Do you storyboard?
I don't, except for some particular shots that I'm trying to either remember myself, or sometimes because I just want to sketch it out for fun for myself, or if I want to explain to the team how I'm seeing it, where he's standing, where she's standing, and what's in between, and that kind of thing. So certain boards I make, but I make the sketch myself, and I'm really bad at it. So people have never encouraged me either to storyboard.
कि रहने दो.
हाँ, तुम रहने दो यार, तुम बता दो, हम कर लेंगे.
But Imtiaz, there are directors like Rajamouli, right? Where he actually gets his ADs to stage the entire scene. Like they shoot a
Oh.
version of it with people standing in for actors, and they're moving, and then he's watching. Would you be like, is that something that sounds interesting to you, or is that like almost too rehearsed and you want more spontaneity?
No, it sounds very interesting to me. And earlier in the day, I was doing a recce for something like a location scout, and we were in a hospital, and the team was there. There were assistant directors and cinematographer, and assistant cinematographer and art director. We were some 12 of us. And this is what we do over there. Take the scene out, read it, blah 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 blah. Aksha, tu wahan chala ja. So you read from there. No, don't go there. Actually, sit on the railing. Okay, now you go. You're speaking to him. Now speak. So the ADs and everybody around in the filmmaking unit, the kind of core team that goes to location scouts, etc. They are accustomed to this. They go and they kind of stage it in some sort of a way, and then the cinematographer. So like I usually tell the cinematographer that, okay, suppose we are here, you're getting that now, the widest shot, does it get all three floors? So that's nice, this is a good angle. So we do that. So now it's not as though we shoot it, it's not as though the lines are rehearsed or memorized at all. They have their phones or scripts and they're reading out of it. But some sort of a staging is good, because it's like it's like you might know a scene, but when you write it, it comes to life. It becomes more real, and you have to decide a few things which you might not have thought of because you've written it. Similarly, when you stage it, it is like the next level of writing. So I love that actually. But Rajamouli makes certain types of films where it is very important that everything is precise.
Yeah.
Because he can't change the camera at the last moment, because there'd be maybe a lot of VFX work that will go down the drain. So it's no surprise that he does that.
Do you ever go Sanjay Bhansali on a scene, which means
What
that
is going Sanjay Bansali?
which means you get there and then you look at the walls and you look at this and you say, no, whatever I had planned, whatever is like 5 pages of dialogue, tear it all. I'm rethinking this
Oh
entirely.
God, does he do that?
Yes.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you do
I think
it?
every director does it, and so do I. And I hate the fact that I do it. And it's not a feeling of happiness or security. It's a feeling that shit, I have to do it because this is not working, and I know that this is going to now waste time, and everybody else who's here will have to wait around till I think of something better. And how stupid and incompetent and am I that I couldn't think of this earlier. And it was niggling in my mind, but I let it be. I'm a sinner. So you think of all of those things when you have that thought, but it happens. And it happened in Chamkila as well actually, because there was this whole scene where these guys were talking, and the talk was all about why Chamkila is not a morally flawed person or an ethically, why he shouldn't be criticized. So this was conversations, and it was so boring. And the police person and those other people are talking to each other. It was so boring, and but it had all of those boxes that I wanted to tick, you know. And ultimately, I on the set again, same thing. Give me 15 minutes, half an hour. Thank God I've done television. In television, we used to do this through the day. Write the scene, shoot it, who's available, which actor, okay, आप हैं, अच्छा ठीक है, आप बैठो, मैं लिख देता हूँ, and we shoot. So and I don't mean it with any disrespect to television. In fact, it has taught us, many directors like me, to be open and take your chances, because what is really precious will never be lost in the story. Anyhow, so I changed that, and what happened is that song with the women got conceived over there then. that we are talking about why women are find this attractive.
Naram Kalja, you're talking about.
Huh?
Which song?
Naram Kalja.
Naram
The
Kalja,
Naram
right.
Kalja song
Yeah.
kind of came into existence from there, because I thought that instead of us talking about it, if we see women enjoying it, it's better. So then how do we, so that happened.
But that's lovely.
Yeah, so it's lovely, but it's not a great, like you are not going through a great, like a happy moment in your life then.
You're the sinner.
You're the sinner, yeah.
You know, you had described beautifully how a film takes hold of you. He said that it's like an infection, and you don't know it's in your body, and then dhire dhire it kind of takes over, and then you find
You
yourself.
start seeing symptoms.
You start seeing symptoms. One symptom is that you're telling this story to people around you. That's when it's taken hold of you. So, Imtiaz, what has taken hold of you right now?
Remember exactly while we were sitting next to the lift, I already told you.
But now you have to tell me officially.
Officially, I can't tell you anything. Like she said, okay, what are you doing? And then I was like, the next 15 minutes telling her the story. And she's like, oh, okay.
I've seen infection as evidence, right?
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
But the point is that officially, much as I would love to, I can't. I'm not supposed to. I'm not allowed to. And but it is something which like is speaking to me all the time, and I feel that this is also very. It has a lot of connection with the earth and with us as a culture, as a civilization. So very happy and a little nervous about the film.
And of course, there is a love story in there.
Hopefully, let me find it.
But you're also doing O Sathi which is a series,
Yes.
which seems like a relationship between the three characters, Aditi Rao Hedri and Arjun Rampal and Avinash Tiwari.
Yeah.
Tell me, and we've spoken about, obviously, the challenges of creating sort of those swooning love stories anymore, right? It's all become very clinical and we live in the internet age. But beyond that, what is the challenge of telling a really riveting romance?
So O Sathi Re is something that I have written and also producing. But what is the challenge? I don't know. You have to feel that emotion somehow, personally, or the lack of it, or miss it, or you have to have a relationship with a situation or a feeling, I think, for it to be thrown into such a large screen, you know. And I think there is also the conceptualization of something which is tender, will always change form. Because if a guy and girl are meeting, then there is a certain visual that we are used to, and we can shoot, and we can play a song that these two guys are meeting, and there is aankhon aankhon mein, and there is blah blah blah, they touch, and it's all in the parlance or in the language that we understand. But if they are sitting on in different parts of the world and talking through the internet, it might be an even more sublime moment that they achieve in life. But how do you make it look so romantic or feel so romantic?
So it's not cinematic.
It's not cinematic, or how do you make it cinematic? People find a way, but that way cannot be borrowed. It has to somehow be experienced, or insightfully you walk to a place where you understand that, oh, this is the feeling that they would have. So how do I show it cinematically? So you have to invent this idiom, and people are doing it successfully, not only in romance, but like great directors find a way to do so. But also, more and more movies are being made about the past. Almost everything which is a human relationship story is about a previous time. All American movies started this, actually. Everything that was feeling like anything was like 20 years back or 30 years back. Yeah, so you have to invent that idiom.
But Who's inventing it, Imtiaz? I feel like I haven't seen a great love story for so long. I don't know. Do you guys feel like that? Hannah, I'm just so tired of men killing each other.
Women should kill each other. That's more interesting.
No, let's just not kill each other for a little while.
But why killing is such a romantic thing?
No, Imtiaz.
No, imagine that you have sympathy for someone and you have to kill them.
हाँ, but वो तो बहुत high level की storytelling है ना. Here they're just out there and
Or they're
punching.
just punching.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No,
So
that's
who's
not cool.
inventing this idiom of love?
You and I have to do it.
Meaning you have to do it.
Yeah, anybody who's making movies should be thinking of it, because I think things have moved very fast because of COVID, I feel. Just so fast that all of us are now ready for something to watch, but I don't know whether we are ready to make that yet. You know, and so we have to, because when you go to make something, your sense of safety is derived from the fact that you know that this has been made before and it has been fairly successful, or you have made it before and it has fared well. You have to give that up, and that's a part of the thrill of filmmaking. You have to give that up and walk into a zone which you don't know will work or not, and there's more heartbeat, and then there is a chance of making a new idiom. And to say that in this, I don't believe that people today are any less romantic or fall less in love or are less lonely or less desperate to make human contact than before. I feel they are the most vulnerable, they are the most fragile today. And this is more than any other time a time for emotional stories. But one must see them, one must recognize and admit to being that way somehow. थोड़ा deep जा रहा है.
We're relying on you, basically.
No, like it's very exciting, I feel. I think this is a very thrilling time because we have to throw away everything that we know.
Yeah.
As filmmakers and embrace, not be negative. That aaj ke zamane mein, that's so stupid. People have been saying that all the time. That in the previous time love stories were better. In the previous time love was alive. Today it is dead. Babies are being made all the time, so it must be alive. So, but I feel we must just find the idiom.
Yeah.
And now that you've said it, I will also try.
Okay, guys, just I take credit for this, okay? Imtiaz, let's talk about casting a little. So, Roman Polanski said that he would always prefer correct casting over a really perfect actor.
100%.
Yeah.
Of course. I don't think there is a perfect actor. I think there's only perfect casting. And so, but you know, casting in a way, a little bit is also a two-way street. You write a part, but when a person starts to perform it, it'll always be different because that person did not exist in your brain. In your brain was no person. It was just imagination. So, the role or the character also becomes a bit from what the actor is bringing. So in that way, a two-way street. And I feel that if the filmmaker can recognize that person, see, when I don't mean that if there is an actor like somebody, that actor comes into the film, into the role, but there's a version of that person. It's like, let's take the example of somebody famous, like just name a famous character from any film. Okay, Jordan, right? So if you are casting for Jordan and you are looking at Ranbir Kapoor, so he will come in and he'll say it in a certain way, right? He'll bring that. But if you were casting, let's say, Shahid Kapoor, he playing Jordan would be a different person. So you have to allow for that. He'll come in and say it in a different way. So you have to allow for that, and then so that backflow is also important to be registered when you're casting. But yeah, I think that I totally agree with Roman Polanski, at least about this.
Speaking of Jordan, right? You
Yeah.
had said that you and Ranbir sort of co-created, right, this character, because you said that you would meet all the time. He would even come to music sessions.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like you were giving him instructions. You said that there was just a vibe going back and forth, and this character sort of emerged from this back and forth between the two of you. Do actors have the time to do this? Is this what's required? Like, why don't we have such memorable characters, or not frequently enough anyway?
I think at the heart of this is the fact that what draws one to become an actor. It could be something superficial like glamour, less superficial than that, but still superficial like money or style or comfort. I don't know what, fame. But closer and closer you get to the bullseye, which is the thrill of performance, that high that you get while performing, the safer you are as an actor. With somebody like Ranbir or many actors, many actors, and I don't agree that um, younger actors or actors now don't have the time or the interest. However, if what happens with someone like Ranbir is that he's just so interested in doing the acting, and he's just so thrilled to be in a movie that if he's given a choice, he'll be there for everything about that movie, so that interest makes that performance good. So by the time when the time comes for me to brief him or to stand on set and direct him, which obviously as a director I do, there is already, the basics are taken care of. Many more things have already registered into him. He's just lived that part already. So that is why the acting can be profound like that.
Yeah. But here there's also the added complication of the stardom, right? When you talk about Jab Harry Met Sejal, you said that I wasn't able to serve the level, the sort of just the massiveness of Shah Rukh's stardom,
Yeah.
right? Is that something you still sort of kind of struggle with, or you want, or is there a situation where you want to cast somebody, but they come with this kind of oversized mythology about them?
Yeah, it hasn't happened since. But then, with the experience of working with Shah Rukh, I understood this, that it's not just him playing this part and doing it good. It is also everybody else who will have a certain expectation. It hasn't happened since, but now I don't know whether I'll still be aware of it. I think uh, I'm pretty like shameless about certain things, and sometimes I choose to forget certain learnings because that's how you retain the inner sense of making a mistake, and but at least taking a chance. So I don't know about this. I will regard the actors I work with as actors, but hopefully the next time around I'll know that we are expecting a certain type of audience to come in because of this particular actor. So are they all going to be disappointed or not? Or at least to let them know very clearly what the film is. I think that's the solution. No, I will not be worried about working with a big star or for a part which might not um, do justice to the expectation of every fan. But at least I'll inform every fan that this is what the movie is, this is what you can expect.
Because I always felt like there was just such a lovely ache in Harry.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tour guide who's lost. There was so much there.
Yeah.
I don't know, someday think about...
not only exactly.
है ना?
What? Think about making something like that, no? I'd love to. Because also there is the ache of being a womanizer. The fact that, like I've met many such in my life. They're very lost and lonely actually. And each one of them has a backstory. And it's something, it's very dissatisfying being like that. And what makes one be like that? That couldn't come through because I don't know whether it was easy for people to accept Shah Rukh like that, because so that the unease of being a womanizer is also something which is I feel very dramatic. It's a very lonely process. Maybe you're looking for something deeper, but you're going to get hurt, so you just say the worst thing possible about the little intimacy that you've had and walk out of it because you've been hurt. So maybe that's also a very good angle. And this tour guide being lost, and more than that, it's also like, when you belong to some place, there's this very nice thing that I was once thinking about a Kashmiri man who set stall in Goa in the winters, because Kashmir is kind of a little less business in the winters. And in Goa, he always says that हमारे कश्मीर में ऐसा होता है, हमारे यहाँ ऐसा होता है, हमारे यहाँ ऐसा होता है. And when he, after a while, goes back to Kashmir, he says, नहीं मगर हमारे गोवा में ऐसा होता है, गोवा में ऐसा. So then, फिर at some point of time, you feel that ये कहीं का नहीं रहा, ये बस सफर का ही था, मैं सफर का रहा.
Correct.
So that's also something. These are very various themes which could come out more strongly, I think. So hopefully, Anu, you look for a financer who wants to make Harry Met Sejal again, and then I'm your man.
So, Imtiaz, among other things, you are the undisputed king of re-releases.
Oh God!
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's
okay.
cool.
And I'm
Yeah.
not saying this. I spoke to Abhishek Kumar, who is the head of curation and marketing for re-releases for PVR Inox. Okay. And he said that you've had 7 so far. And this is, of course, Rockstar, and Laila Majnu was the big, massive hit. Jab we met. And he said all of these films had over a 50% occupancy. So they're very, very successful. So you are, in fact, the king of re-releases. Yes!
What a distinction.
How does that feel?
It's awesome. It feels so thrilling now. What I aspire for now, the only thing I aspire for is just to be the king of releases. Just knock that word "re" out of it. No, but it's very thrilling, actually. It just means that I'm actually very happy. In this theater, I have come and watched Rockstar. Was it this? Was it? No, it was a bigger theater, maybe downstairs. So Rockstar, when it re-released, that was the first time I actually saw the film, because before that, every time I went to see the film in a theater, I would fall asleep when it released. But it is, what's thrilling, Anu, is that there are people that were very small, or I wouldn't say not born, but very, very small, to get the film at that point, or to be coming to a theater to watch. They are watching it, they are relating to it, and the fact that they are liking it, and then coming out and say, wow, you are the guy that made Rockstar. I'm like, I have a future, bro. Like, if these guys are liking me now, it's cool, it's fine. And then I always ask, do you have a younger sister? Is she here as well watching this film? So it was very, very nice. It was very, very heartwarming, especially for Laila Majnu. And it all started for Laila Majnu because a theater had opened in Srinagar. And it's a film that is shot entirely in Srinagar in Kashmir. So they thought, now that we have a theater, and Rockstar had released and done well, so they said that, can we get it here and do this? So I spoke to some Ajay in PVR Pictures. So that happened, and that refused to die down, that film in Kashmir. So then they said, let's release it India-wide. And that film did very, very, very well. And I think it is historic how little it had done when it released and how much it did at the re-release. It's just like a crazy story.
But how do you process the craziness of that, Imtiaz? That, you make a film and it just collapses, and that has to hurt.
Yeah.
And then years later, everyone's like, wow, kya picture banai hai? Like, how do you process that?
Yeah. Yeah, for Laila Majnu, that's exactly what had happened. And I don't know. I mean, there are some learnings I feel there, but um, yeah, I think it takes a while to process it, and the while has not finished yet. I'm still in the process of processing it, but there are some learnings, and that can help us make a film more accessible. And yeah, let's see whether I can learn anything from it. But Laila Majnu obviously is not directed by me. I co-wrote it with my brother Sajid, and it was produced by Preeti and Ekta. So the greater learning I think is theirs, because in some sort of a way I was still an outsider. I feel that if I'm not directing, it's not my film, even if I've written it or whatever. So the greater learning should go to them. Yes.
Imtiaz, you said that one of the biggest influences on you was Faiz Ahmad Faiz.
Hmm.
And you said that the poetry brings you peace and strength. Tell me about this. And what are some lines that you really hold close to your heart?
Oh, yes. You know, the poet Momin had said these lines, and everybody here must have heard in some version of the or the other, that तुम मेरे पास होते हो गोया जब कोई दूसरा नहीं होता. So you, however, are with me when there is nobody else with me. I think that is poetry for me, because it's something that I can say to myself, and sometimes inspire myself, sometimes encourage myself, sometimes just enjoy my time. If I have to wait, I can just go through some poetry in my head and it keeps me company, that kind of thing. And Faiz Ahmad Faiz, of course, is because he's contemporary, because he's talking about anti establishment in a very unique manner. His tone is almost romantic when he's talking about the decimation of the classes or hierarchies. So, and a very important poem, which is again exemplifying the romantic meter, but talking about something which is more social, is मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरी महबूब ना मांग. एंड मैंने समझा था कि तू है तो दरख्शां है हयात, तेरा गम है तो गम दहर का झगड़ा क्या है. So, and then he goes on to say that I had thought that तू जो मिल जाए तो हयात निगूं हो जाए, यूं न था मैंने फ़कत चाहा था यूं हो जाए. इट वॉज नॉट दस, आई हैड जस्ट होप्ड, wanted for it to be like that. और भी दुख हैं ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा, राहतें और भी हैं वसल की राहत के सिवा. There are other reliefs than just that of union. मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरी महबूब ना मांग. He's almost justifying the end of romanticism in a time of injustice. So many such. This, of course, is the most famous. But recently, I was also talking with someone about हम के ठहरे अजनबी इतनी मदारातों के बाद. मदारात is formality. हम के ठहरे अजनबी, after so many formalities, इतनी मदारातों के बाद फिर बनेंगे आशना फ्रेंड्स, फिर बनेंगे आशना कितनी मुलाकातों के बाद.
Wow.
So it is so, like, it's, the verse is so romantic, but he's talking about the strange relationship with Bangladesh. कब नज़र में आएगी बेदाग सब्ज़े की बहार, खून के धब्बे मिटेंगे कितनी बरसातों के बाद. उनसे जो कहने गए थे फैज़ जहाँ सदका किए, with his heart in his hand. उनसे जो कहने गए थे फैज़ जहाँ सदका किए, अनकही ही रह गई वो बात सब बातों के बाद.
Oof,
It's so easy to relate, no?
Yeah.
So he has that Shakespeare type ease of communication. Like, Shakespeare, of course, is Old English, but if you were to take that out, it's very, very easy and relatable to understand. Like Ghalib, and many the greatest poets of all languages have that. So Faiz speaks more because he has that ability, but also is contemporary, closer to us.
Yeah. Okay, one last question and we'll open it up. How do you want the history books to remember you?
Oh God, no. Thankfully, I will not be around when that happens.
Phir
No.
bhi?
It's I haven't actually, it's a very. I don't want to be caught in thinking how the world should remember or will remember me. I hope they just forget me and remember many movies that I have made.
How lovely. Thank you.
I said many movies. I've just made 9 up till now.
Correct.
Yeah, so which means that more important for me is to make many movies.
And you are.
Yeah, hopefully, man.
The speed is increasing.
I should do more to increase the speed.
Yeah.
I don't know why it takes me at least 2 years to make a film. And I've been working relentlessly to increase my pace, but unsuccessfully too.
Well, if Clint Eastwood is anything to go by,
Yeah.
95, you're still making movies.
Yeah, but hopefully more than 1 in 2 years.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
To see more Imtiaz Ali films and have them re-release. Okay, guys, who has questions?
Hello, good evening, sir. My name is Neelkant. I come
Sorry,
from...
Neelkant, is sir allowed?
कोशिश करो कि इम्तियाज बोलो बट और जस्ट से गुड इवनिंग.
मैं इसलिए ऐसा बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं झारखंड से हूँ
क्या बात है.
और जमशेदपुर के बगल में ही गांव है मेरा.
क्या गांव का नाम है?
सर चाईबासा के बगल में है.
चाईबासा के बगल में.
Yes.
वेरी गुड.
आई स्टडीड इन दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी. आई एम हियर इन मुंबई टू मेक फिल्म्स.
ऑलमोस्ट मेरी वाली कहानी है आपकी भी.
एग्जैक्टली, यस. तो मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि इवन आई am more inclined towards making love stories, to be honest.
You are.
Yes.
जी.
तो how do you think अभी ये जो आपने अभी बोला कि there is a lot of things that we have missed in the time of COVID. Even I feel the same.
नहीं, हाँ खैर आप बताइए. मैं शायद आपने गलत समझा मैं जो बोल रहा था.
मेरा जो the characters that I want to portray, especially coming from rural background, and the changes, the hierarchies,
जी जी
which we often see in the cities.
जी.
So if I have to portray some characters which can be understood by, say, almost every Indian,
जी.
what would your suggestion be?
Well, I firstly would encourage everybody to talk more about rural characters, because on an average, rural characters or semi-urban characters are seen fewer times in Indian cinema today, and that's not a good trend. So, but the way to make them popular is to make them humane. When you see them, you should see them not technically, but in terms of their humanity. What is their emotional graph? Not necessarily what is their technical standing. अगर कोई SDO की ऑफिस में क्लर्क है तो वो मुझे शायद ना समझ में आए, बट अगर वो उसका बॉस उसको तंग करता है तो ये ज़रूर समझ में आ जाएगा. सो वो ह्यूमन एंगल इज़ व्हाट यू शुड पोर्ट्रे विथ व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कैरेक्टर्स. That's what I can say. एक और चीज़ बोलना चाहूँगा कि I meant that in COVID we have moved in leaps and bounds as an audience. हमारा जो taste है, this is what maybe it was not complete. It has changed so drastically. We have improved as viewers so much in COVID that as filmmakers we have to really struggle to keep in tandem.
Thank you.
There's a lady right there.
Where? A very good evening, Anupama. Good evening, Imtiaz. And good evening to the lovely audience here. Thank you. My question
That's
to
a lovely
Imtiaz
hairstyle.
Thank you so much.
How much time does it take to make it?
To maintain? Oh, nothing really. It just
Really?
appears to be a very difficult task, but actually it's not. It's just like how you wash your own hair and maintain it. That's it. It's a very beautiful
All
thing.
right. Thank you. That's very nice.
Thank you so much. My question to Imtiaz is, like, freedom is such a reoccurring theme in your movies, okay? Be it physical, creative, emotional. What freedom really means to you? Come on, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the parameters is to be able to speak the truth in a public forum.
Lovely.
Is freedom, you know, and it's not only freedom; it's a symptom of freedom. That you must be free if you can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, to not lie, to not keep secrets. It's very difficult. It's the most difficult thing. But I guess if you if you speak every word the truth, then you're free.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's one person right next to you, and then we can bring it this side.
हेलो इम्तियाज, अंजुलिका हियर.
Hi, Anupama.
आपका दर्द से बहुत गहरा रिश्ता है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से गम और दर्द आप दिखाते हैं फिल्मों में, वो बहुत
एक बार
इंटरेस्टिंग है.
अनुराग कश्यप जो है ना, वो किसी कॉमेडियन का नाम ले लिया क्या मैंने? अनुराग कश्यप एक बहुत ही प्रतिभाशाली और विख्यात निर्देशक है हमारे देश के, और जो वो गए थे गुलजार साहब के पास. उन दिनों अनुराग डायरेक्ट नहीं किया करते थे. वो एक उन्होंने फिल्म लिखी थी जो आप लोगों ने शायद देखी हो, राम गोपाल वर्मा की सत्या.
हाँ.
So Anurag went there. Rekha Nigam is here. She's a very, very prolific writer. I'm a bit nervous. Good that you are on my backside. But Anurag went to Gulzar Saab. उन्होंने कहा कि हम ना चाहते हैं कि ये जो गाना है ना कल्लू मामा वाला, इसमें, और उसको भेजा था लोगों ने बढ़ा चढ़ा के कि तुम जाओ और गुलजार साहब से कहो कि गम के इसमें बम लगा के, कोई ऐसा हम लोगों ने गाना सोचा था. तो वो बोला था कि गुलजार साहब से रिक्वेस्ट करो कि ये वाली लाइन लिख लें, ये ले लें, बाकी वो गाना लिखें, बट ये वाली लाइन एक्सेप्ट कर लें. तो उन्होंने कहा गम में बम लगाकर. तो इसने गुलजार साहब ने कहा उससे गोंद, गम मतलब गोंद.
नहीं,
तो वो समझ गया. सॉरी सर.
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं.
गम.
गम. ओके. यस.
सॉरी
गम.
सॉरी, आई जस्ट टुक नुक्ता.
नुक्ता लगाना नहीं यार.
नहीं आप कोई बात नहीं, ऐसी मैं आपका मजाक नहीं उड़ा रहा. मैं
नहीं,
मतलब
नहीं,
अनुराग
I
की याद आ गई
understand.
मुझे.
बहुत
जब भी
अच्छी
ये
है.
वर्ड सुनता हूँ तो मुझे ये वाकया याद आता है.
हो सकता है. तो मैं ये कहना चाहती थी कि आपकी फिल्में, जैसे कि तमाशा फिल्म में एक लाइन है, गाने में एक लाइन है कि गम फिसल
no
जाए,
problem.
गम फिसल जाए. तो ये हम
हर
हमेशा
गम फिसल जाए. हाँ,
काश ये गम फिसल जाए, ये लाइन थी. बहुत ही हर बार जब भी वो सुनते हैं बहुत टच कर जाती है. दूसरी एक लाइन थी रॉकस्टार की कि खुद से ही खुद को रिहा करवा दे. वेरी टचिंग लाइन. सो ये दर्द का रिश्ता है आपकी फिल्मों का. एंड माई क्वेश्चन टू यू, एंड दिस इज व्हाट आई लव अबाउट योर फिल्म्स, एंड माई क्वेश्चन टू यू इज़ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन कि जॉर्डन जैसे अपने सफ़र में जितना उसको सक्सेस मिलता है उतना वो अकेला होता जाता है. सो इज़ इट ट्रू दैट सक्सेस के बाद हर कोई तन्हा हो जाता है?
थैंक गॉड मैं नहीं हूँ उतना सक्सेसफुल. पोटेंशियली यस, ऐसा हो सकता है, ऐसा होने के बहुत चांसेस हैं. एंड मगर मुझे ऐसा भी लगता है कि जो लोग बहुत सक्सेसफुल है जिनको मैं जानता हूँ, वो लोग एक्स्ट्रा करते भी हैं टू मेक श्योर दैट दे आर नॉट लोनली. मगर बहुत मुश्किल है. ख़ास करके अगर आप फेमस हैं और आप बहुत सारे लोग आपके इर्द गिर्द हैं, उस वैसे में और सन्नाटा होना मुमकिन है.
जी, थैंक यू.
Because ek dafa na, jaise I'll give you an example. Like I met Amitabh Bachchan, I was so fascinated. I just was obviously behaving like a fan. He thought he's going to meet a director, right? He was, but I was just like, I have seen Bachchan साहब आपकी पिक्चर मैंने देखी वहाँ पे गिरफ्तार जमशेदपुर टॉकीज में सीटें तोड़ दी थी लोगों ने. But then I realized very quickly that he's not interested in that. He's seen Rockstar and he liked the film, so he wanted to talk about that, like an actor and director. I had decided never to work with him because I thought it'll always be like this with somebody like him, you know. But anyway, so it's not. That's how you get lonely.
Yes.
Like if I could just take him like a normal guy, then he will be accepted for who he is, not for what he's done or what his reputation is.
So how do you deal with that?
No, as I'm saying, I'm nowhere there, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Guys, can we move the mic this side?
हेलो सर, माय नेम इज़ अन्वेशी. मैं खजुराहो से हूँ.
वाह, क्या बात है.
जी. और मैंने अभी कुछ लिखना शुरू किया है ऑन रोमांस. इट्स कॉल्ड द अदर अस. तो मुझे आपसे ये पूछ, द अदर अस, इट्स रोमांस अबाउट टू पीपल हु can heal themselves only when they are somebody else, like in the form of role play or something of that sort. So that becomes the addiction and that becomes the very breaking point that brings them together. मेरा आपसे ये सवाल है.
I love acting. It is so much more real than life. Oscar Wilde had said.
Yes, it is indeed. And मेरा आपसे सवाल ये है कि आपके जो कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी होते हैं. अगर प्लेन लैंग्वेज में हम देखें, जो इंसान बहुत ज़्यादा प्यार करता है वो जनरली सबमिसिव होता है. लेकिन इन जनरल जो आपकी स्टोरीज़ में आपने सारे शेड्स एक कैरेक्टर के आप दिखाते हैं. like if there is someone who's madly in love, they are also wise to know when to draw a line, yet they are extremely madly deeply in love. So how do you know when to like flow with the emotional consistency of a character and the layers of the character, and also contain the cinematic restriction, like how much to show, how much not to show? And also the main question that I'm trying to ask here is ki, knowing the character of two people, do you already decide, like obviously there is an entire story that is laid out, but how much of it flows with the characteristics of a human being that is based on the natural course of consequences that eventually they will bring them to themselves, or you control it by the narrative? So what wins for you? Is it the characters and their consistency of behavior, or the overall narrative that you want to tell?
There is no simple answer to this. There is no one answer to this. Right. It is only good if both point in the same direction. What you're trying to say is that there's a plot and there are characters that are making you go through that plot and reach at the end of it, right? So they have to be natural. You cannot compromise on that.
Correct.
Yet the plot has to be achieved. So usually it does, because instinctively you would have known to make the characters different otherwise.
Right.
You know, not through the 7% of your intelligence that is available to you, not through intellect, but through emotion.
Yes.
You would have taken the right decision. You should trust that.
Correct.
But there's always going to be a different way in which the character can speak. So the characteristic can change. But the person, it's like you can be different today and different tomorrow, right? Like you would have processed the same situation in a different way. Sometimes you leave your flat whistling to yourself. Sometimes you just like walking.
Yeah.
So you can be, that character can be of a certain type to bring the effect that you're looking for.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Guys, let's get the mic to this side.
Hi, this is Apeksha, and thanks to you, everyone knows me as Apeksha from Ratlam Ki Galiyan. Because, yeah.
Are you from Ratlam?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just wanted to understand in today's times when everything is so taken so sensitively, and when art and artists are seen as, the same entity, do you at times change the storyline or your views so that it's more acceptable, or do you just go with however
I
you
try
want it
to
is?
have my own notion for it. Like I try to have my own answer for it. For instance, if I write something or I'm shooting something which might be controversial or might be negative to a certain sect of people, let's say, and if somebody says, but aisa ho sakta hai, then I ask myself, what my true intent is. And I feel that if I find any doubt in myself that, yeah, maybe I'm just like maybe being funny here, but somebody might get hurt. If I were that person or that community or whatever, then I backtrack. If not, then I stick with it. You know why? Because my first problem with these things has to do with Ratlam Ki Galiyan. The first time there was a court summon for me, and then I had a non-bailable arrest warrant.
Why?
Was because of Ratlam. Because he said that, Ratlam, the charge sheet,
नाम खराब कर दिया.
which was erstwhile famous for chivda, fafda and mixture, has been defamed by director Imtiaz Ali as being a place of, the red light. And so you've done this, and then, the letter had gone to my producer's office. Now that film was over, and I was doing another film. I was doing Rockstar by then. No, sorry, Love Aajkal by then. So one letter went, disappeared. Then straight away, I was shooting in Calcutta, and then Dinu comes and said, Dolly ji was shooting. So Dinu comes and says, "Sir, there is a non-bailable arrest warrant. If they come to know where you are, they'll come and arrest you." I said, "Kali paper mein aaya, we are shooting over here in Calcutta, yaar." And वो location भी उन्होंने बता दिया, तो वो तो आने वाले हैं. And Dinu was like, मेरा तो बहुत loss हो जाएगा, तू arrest हो गया तो.
It's okay for you to go to jail, but मेरा loss हो जाएगा.
And Dolly Alu Alia was there. While everybody was going very nervous and very tense, Dolly ji said, मैं अपने हाथों से रोटी बना करके लाऊंगी, आपको सलाखों के बीच से ऐसे आपके मुंह में निवाला खिलाऊंगी, इम्तियाज जी आप घबराना मत. Everybody just broke out into laughter. Trust a Punjabi to not be bothered about all this.
जेल तो होता रहता है.
हाँ, ये सारी चीजें होती हैं. तो फिर कुछ हुआ नहीं, but I had to go to Ratlam, and then I realized that if you write "Jab we met" and you have a arrest warrant, then how careful can you be here?
Correct.
So you don't change your opinions, like
not unless I feel there is some merit in the counter argument.
But what if they're like just being forceful and they're like, no, but this is hurting
No,
our
so there is, of
sentiments.
course, so that happens all the time, because the censor
Okay.
board can say we will not let this pass. So one can go and talk to them, but if they say that blah blah blah, and they're very respectful people, but they have their strictures, they can't go against that. So then I as filmmaker obviously don't have, I'm not the in charge of the ethical parameters in this country, or this world.
Yeah.
So I have to accept the fact that somebody else has to decide whether something that I've put goes on or not. But I try to give every explanation that I can, and usually they work,
Alright.
But yeah, I don't censor even before doing it unless I feel there is a doubt in my mind. So then I pull out.
Thank you, and sorry on behalf of like the Ratlam.
Ratlam, no. It was a great time. I got to eat the mixture there. Yeah.
Okay, guys, we have 2 more questions.
Hi, sir. My name is Shirish Sharma, sir. I am from Himachal Pradesh, Shimla. Sir, ये मेरा कोई सवाल नहीं है, ये एक इजहार है that I really love you, sir. ये no.
मुझे तो शिमला का हर बंदा पसंद है. मतलब आप, I also love you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'm an actor. Sir, आप unwillingly, you don't know that आपने मेरे जैसे पता नहीं कितने लोगों को बहुत कुछ सिखाया है. Just like you told us the story of when you went to the Paris and that taxi driver told you that you make emotions. अगर मैं उसकी जगह होता सर, मैं भी सेम ही बोलता आपको. Thank you so much for the contribution. Can we have a clap for Imtiaz, sir?
अरे,
Please.
come on.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir. My
Hi.
name is Deena.
दिल और दुनिया.
Dil-
Yeah.
Sir, my question to you is that in our everyday life, your films are something that just don't inspire us, they become a part of us. So whenever I'm sad, I always there is a background noise in my head ki heer to badi sad hai. So such instances
So
that-
irritating. I'm not even letting you enjoy your true emotion of sadness.
Yeah, but but even in romance, when we are in love, like I speak for everybody here.
No, speak for yourself.
Yeah. So when I feel in love, there are things that I take from the characters.
What's the song going on then?
A lot of songs, but right now I'm not feeling like I'm in love. I'm just feeling sad. So, so my question to you is: these characters that you write have a journey for themselves. What is something that inspires you, and what is something that goes in your head when you are living these characters? Because you're writing it, obviously these come from you. So, what is something that really makes you excited about your journey?
It's like we were talking about casting earlier. It's like when an actor is acting a certain part, he's not being himself. And there is a great feeling of liberation in that, right? So when I'm writing about a character or making a film, I'm not really bothered about myself. I'm not thinking about what I am feeling. In fact, I'm not aware of it, and I'm not interested in it, actually. So, I see when I'm writing, of course, it has appealed to me because of something that must be personally appealing to me. And then I get into it, and then I keep going in that direction. I'm only thinking about the story and the character, and not about myself at all. So I'm not
it's
aware.
coming from you, but it's not you.
It's coming from me, yeah. It's coming from me. It is not me, and it's definitely not me, because if I was so interested in myself, I'd definitely not be making movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sometimes also to go out of yourself and be somebody else that you write or make movies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so fascinating that it's a part of you, but
Yeah.
it's not exactly you.
And sometimes I feel very exposed when I watch films.
Do you feel you've put too much of yourself?
Yeah.
Really?
But other people don't get it. But some people who are very close do get it also, to say that, oh, I could hear you speaking. Yeah. I didn't realize it while I was shooting or writing. But sometimes something does come out, something that you will never allow yourself to bring out in real life.
Can you share? Will you tell us?
Like, I'm thinking about this scene in Love Aajkal where Deepika says, the way she's talking. While I was shooting it, and this is a scene where she is saying we can't meet. Just before the interval, she says in Qutub Minar ke samne.
She says that jagah honi chahiye kisi aur.
So I have to, like, he's proposed to me and I have to, you and I cannot meet. And he says, itni boring baatein mat karo. And then she says, don't you understand? I need some place empty where somebody else can come in. He says, are you sure? He says, are you sure? And she says, haan. That whole scene, but especially the way she says, haan. While shooting, I felt, have I heard this? And just that tone. And I didn't tell her to speak in a certain way. It's just that, when there are certain feelings and certain words and they have their own rhythm, and then the actor speaks in a certain way, it just comes out like that. But it seemed to be coming from something that I have experienced in my life. So I have not experienced such a scene somehow, but the emotion or the feeling somehow I might have.
But that must be, I
don't know. It's very,
है ना?
Like
थोड़ा unsettling.
Resonates and unsettles also,
Yeah. Okay, one more. Yeah, the gentleman there.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
सर मेरे इतना इंटेलेक्चुअल थैंक यू सर मेरे इतना इंटेलेक्चुअल सवाल नहीं, मेरा एक बहुत आसान सा आई डोंट नो आसान है सर. रॉकस्टार में एक मोमेंट है जहाँ पे जॉर्डन जाता है हीर के शादी में, एंड वो मोमेंट बहुत वायरल, बहुत फेमस है. दैट्स द मोमेंट व्हेन हीर फॉल्स इन लव विद जॉर्डन, और वो बोलता है कि पीछे का दरवाज़ा खुला है, भाग चले. माई जस्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट वुड हैव इट हैपेंड if both have it vanished? क्या वो बनता कि क्या होता, क्या ज़िंदगी क्या होती? आई डोंट नो आपने सोचा होगा इस बारे में कि नहीं, पर ये सवाल मेरे दिमाग में बहुत टाइम से है.
मैंने 11th स्टैंडर्ड में एक प्ले लिखा था जिसमें रोमियो और जूलियट को पता चल जाता है कि उनके साथ क्या होने वाला है, कि शेक्सपियर की बुक में उन की कहानी में उन लोगों को लिखा गया वो किरदार हैं दरअसल, तो वो आखिर में मरने वाले, तो वो भागते हैं इन अ वे, जैसा कि आप कह रहे हो, पीछे के दरवाजे से निकल लेते हैं और रहते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. और उसमें ये होता है, इन दैट प्ले व्हाट हैड हैपेंड, दिस वाज फॉर द Rotary Club in Jamshedpur, in Beldi Club we'd staged it for, there's one girl here who's from Jamshedpur. Yours also, yeah. And she is. So, so in the end, but the same fate befalls them. They end up in the same way.
So you
know?
can't change it.
You can't change it. And that play was called Destiny. It was based on Romeo and Juliet. But yeah, it kind of follows you till the end. And I feel that Jordan would have found a way to be restless and dissatisfied in the end.
उसकी किस्मत में वही लिखा था.
वो चाहता ही ये था.
Correct.
Somehow I feel that आपकी किस्मत में वही मिलता है जो आप दरअसल चाहते हो, but you don't know it in those words. Somehow I feel that you're oriented in that direction.
So you attract that.
You attract that. That's the reason why. जी, Rekha ji wants to ask.
Rekha, let me give you let's just get the mic to you.
तुम्हारी एक फिल्म है जो from your repertoire which is totally different and I would love to see it re-released, which is
one?
Highway.
Highway.
And I want to know, it did it? Oh, I didn't know that. And I really want to know how you wrote them. It's a film that never leaves you really. For most of us, that film has never
Rekha,
left us.
Unfortunately, half the reason why it doesn't is also very unfortunate.
Absolutely.
It is the prevalence of a certain tendency in human society.
Human society, everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
That too, but the way it came across, the way the story was told, and the rawness of the whole story, the characters. I mean, that film, it's just like बाकी सारी फिल्में और वो फिल्म बिल्कुल अलग लग रही है. I wanted to know a little bit more about how you wrote those characters and how you had the courage to keep them so raw.
There's one thing that about Highway is very interesting. Highway is perhaps the story I wrote first before any of my other films. Before Socha Na Tha even. And then Highway I've tried to make it in different ways. There were different times where I've used to get signed on to say, okay, now there was a time I was making it with Sunny Deol. And then that was a very different kind of a film. And then but I had written the screenplay. And then I wrote it in a different way because I was going to make it years later with someone else. Then there was a time that I was going to make it with someone else and in some other way. So various times I wrote the script. Finally, it was in some car ride with Anil Mehta that we decided, let's make this film. And I said, I've written it so many times, let me not write it anymore. So, but our principle was, we will shoot it with sticks. We will not have a trolley even. We'll make it in as though we are just new students coming out of the institute or something. And do we have the strength to just keep an audience engaged? Not with all the gizmo, but just with two people. And so I said, this is a nice story. So we just made it like that. So we did not have I just had a 20 pager, just a storyline. And I didn't have the scenes. So we were actually, shooting on the fly. So I would go and we were just driving and then I would say that yahan par hai. There was a time when I actually did not have the scene while we were climbing onto the location. So Alia was like, sir, bolna kya? What do I have to do when I get there? I said, when we get there, I'll tell you. Just climb fast. This light is going. Aisa bhi hua. So
beautiful rawness just shows.
Yeah, man. And, I'm so happy that we could afford it, that we could make a film like that.
And I'm so glad that one Indian director had the courage to make that film. No, nobody else has had the courage. The tendencies that you're talking about, every director has known about it. Every man has known about it. To have the courage and to make it like that, like you said, to just have a 20 pager and then to write those scenes as you went along. I mean, That's really extraordinary. Maybe somebody should be writing a book about the making of this film.
Oh yeah.
It's
There
just stayed with me, you know.
Yeah.
Get goosebumps.
Thank you, guys. And I'm so sorry. I know there's lots of people. You have a gift for him?
Yeah. Okay.
Would you like to come
Thank
and
you.
give it? Please do.
But Anu, is so much pleasure to talk to you
Arey,
each time. Yeah.
not at all. I love it. It's so much fun. And you have the best stories.
Hi, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imtiaz. And thank you, everyone,
Thank you.
for being such a wonderful audience. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.